Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the world of the unexplained, supernatural, paranormal, and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I'm your host, Miss Bumblebee, and this evening we are looking at a phenomena I wasn't even familiar with really until recently. I had never heard of it. It's something called a Thundercrow. I imagine I'd heard the accounts or read the accounts at some point, but I never put that. Oh, this is a different phenomena than thunderbirds because they seem to be, kind of similar, I guess. But watching these videos, learning a little bit about it from American Strangeness. Yeah, and people usually be like, oh, Bree, she's the one who knows all the cryptids all the time. And this is one that I was not, familiar with at all. So, you're watching me learn about a new cryptid. Now, there's two videos here on the subject. One from 3 months ago and one from 1 month ago. We're going to watch them chronologically, though. So, I guess it doesn't really matter. But Thundercrows in Washington State. Let's go. Better unmute that, too.
Resembling giant crows or ravens have a long history in North America, most recently on the Olympic Peninsula. Today on American Strangeness, new Thundercrow sightings in and around the Hoh Rainforest in Washington State.
Thundercrow is also a band name, by the way. And I do appreciate Buffy references in the side chat. Absolutely bring it. Did you guys know Sarah Michelle Gellar just did an interview where she said that they just finished shooting the Buffy reunion. It's not a reboot, not a remake. It's just Buffy picking up with the gang 25 years later. I don't know if I think it's probably just going to be a one shot or mini series or something. But yeah, they're bringing Buffy back. Buffy is my one of my favorite shows. I don't want to say it's my favorite show that was ever produced because I liked X-Files. I liked Fringe. I liked Supernatural. But Buffy has a special place in my heart, for sure.
I've written previously about Thundercrows, the name I've given to giant mystery birds that resemble crows or ravens.
Well, that might explain why I haven't heard of this before, because he came up with the term. Okay, so I don't know how I missed that when I watched this through. I guess I was more interested in parsing them. They resemble, so it's a Thunderbird phenomena, but they resemble corvids, so he calls them Thundercrows. Okay. Hello, Simply Secular Dave says, lurking for the Canada versus England women's rugby finals. Elbows up Canada. Why is anybody watching this when that's going on? I love watching Buffy. Yeah. I can be Buffy and you can be Willow. House bells.
These are a subset of the avian cryptids known as thunderbirds, a variety of gigantic, unidentified birds collectively named after the elemental beings of Native American tradition. Frank Grays, the cryptid hunter, told Mysteries of Canada writer Hammerson Peters that he reviewed.
And we've covered a lot of Hammerson Peterson. Not a lot. We've covered a fair amount of Hammerson Peterson, though. Last one was the skeletons. Remember the skeletons, guys? The giant. One of them was giant, anyway. But there were lots of animated skeletons from Canada. Why is Canada so full of animated skeletons? It's kind of bizarre.
The infamous Thunderbird photo that cryptozoology forefather Ivan T. Sanderson once had in his files, and described the dead bird pictured hanging on the side of a barn as a big black bird like a raven, with a wingspan between 20 and 30 feet. I think Thunderbirds are ravens. They're just giant ravens, Graves said. The cryptid hunter might have been onto something.
Like, the physiology of a raven doesn't work on that scale, though. That's why when you look at the wings of larger birds like this, they get longer and narrower the bigger they get, and they depend more and more on soaring and riding air currents, right? So if it had wings proportioned like a giant crow, I'm not completely sure that it would be able to get airborne. I mean, I'm not the scientist here. I'm just saying. I'm not like I don't study aerodynamics or anything like that. The boys are playing. I'm gonna close this. The boys are playing outside. Henry and Ben are playing soccer. A little darker in here. That's okay though, because, like I said, I got a hangover anyway.
Something. In May 2025, I was contacted by a new Thundercrow witness revealing a compelling recent history of these birds sighted in and around the Hoh rainforest on the Olympic Peninsula in western Washington state. Marshall, whose identity I have validated but wishes to use a pseudonym, is a lifelong resident of Washington. He works for a large manufacturer and is a part-time mining prospector. In 2016, Marshall was looking to purchase a retirement property that offered solitude amongst the beauty of nature, abundant wildlife, and mineral opportunities. He was drawn to the Olympic Peninsula.
Did you just say mineral opportunities?
Spending us in mineral opportunities. Amongst the beauty of nature, abundant wildlife, and mineral opportunities.
What is the deal with minerals here lately? I've never heard that word so much in my life. It's like, Trump's gonna take over Greenland for minerals. Gonna go raid Canada for their minerals. The Russia's invading Ukraine because it wants their minerals. It's why is the world so obsessed with minerals? I mean, I get it, they're cool, whatever, but I'm just whining. I'm probably preaching to the choir as a stupid leftist environmentalist. I think that that they should just, for the most part, be left alone. I don't know, just a thought. The sun provides all the energy that we need for burning. Yeah, I know, lithium and stuff like that, D. I know. And yeah, and to build freaking solar panels, you need minerals. It's just, like, here's what I'm complaining about. I'm watching a video about Thundercrows. This is my escapism for the week, right? This is where my brain gets away from the topics. And there it is in my face again. Oh, they just discovered how to create sodium batteries. Interesting.
He was drawn to the Olympic Peninsula and was spending a sunny, clear April afternoon hiking a trail through the Hoh rainforest, just south of the Hoh River, although this was outside the Hoh Indian Reservation. At about 1 p.m., Marshall walked around a blind corner.
Hoh River. We're going to look. All right. I'll bring it over. We'll check it out. And forget about minerals for just a minute while we look at hoes. Who's with me? Hoes before minerals. This must be the Ho River. The Ho River overfloweth. Where does it flow from? Mount Matthias. Okay, so it goes around the base of Mount Matthias. There's the Ho Rainforest. Ooh, there's lots of trails out here. Let's drop down. I want to see. I love the Olympic Peninsula. It's one of my favorite places. Look at all that. Everything's covered in moss. All shaggy. Look at that. God, I love the Olympic Peninsula. I need to go there. Everything's all moist. It's the moistest place. Look how moist it is. Let's go to one of these more isolated spots. Oh, look at that. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. If I was a Thundercrow, this is where I would want to live. Florida is thrice as moist. Yeah, but Florida has so much heat. It's nice and cool up here. And cool and moist, so the fungi grows. I know y'all have a lot of big moss and stuff hanging too. All right. Anyway, sorry to get distracted by how pretty this place is. Let's get back to our crows. Crows before hoes. Am I right, Hive? Am I right? Crows before hoes.
Reservation. At about 1 p.m., Marshall walked around a blind corner on the trail and stopped in his tracks when he saw something shocking and inexplicable. Perched atop a large 10-foot-tall cedar stump that stood along the trail, an aged remnant of the forest's periodic harvesting, with 2 springboard notches cut into its trunk in a blue huckleberry bush growing at the base, was the largest bird he had ever seen. "Its back was to me, and this thing was big," said Marshall. A quote-unquote average country boy who knows his animals and is familiar with all the large birds seen in Washington, Marshall knew this wasn't a bald eagle, the California brown pelican, or the turkey vultures that arrive in the summertime. "I can tell you one thing, it was not any of those birds," he said. "It looked just like a giant raven. I was 15 feet away from this bird. It turned its head, and I saw a red..."
And this is going to be a repeat of one of our earliest episodes, because I think I have an identity for the creature, but we'll get to it.
Slash under its eye. There were tufts of feathers behind its beak.
Wait,
Turned its head, and I saw a red slash under its eye.
Okay.
There were tufts of feathers behind its beak, just like a raven would normally have, and the blackest eyes I've ever looked into. Just to note, the feathers on the beak were likely rictal bristles, which are morphologically similar to mammalian whiskers. The enormous bird stood more than 4 feet tall, with folded wings that stuck up above its body, giving it a hunched appearance. The bird stared at Marshall for a breathless moment, then turned its head and spread out its wings, revealing a stunning 12-foot spread that rivaled the greatest recorded wingspan among Andean condors, the largest...
And his scale was this tree stump. But I guess it's the AI rendering of the event, though. So take it with a grain of salt. But proportions.
birds of prey in the world.
Remember what I said about proportions earlier, and how a raven's body doesn't have the proportions to fly effectively at that size. Let's see. Just gonna catch up on the chat real quick, because y'all are talking about moist Florida. Let's see. Sumami, it's very moist right now. Every day I get wet every time I leave the house. I prefer it over snow. I really do live here, and I just hate the politics. Oh, you really do love living here? Okay. Condors are massive in comparison to corvids. I agree. Girl, I hate Tampa, LMAO. I've lived here my whole life. It stands. It's it stinks.
which also stand around 4 feet tall. The bird ascended from the stump, and every time those wings flapped, they compressed the air with a deep whoosh, said Marshall. About 10 flaps, and it coasted over the treetops and out of sight. Marshall was extremely curious about his sighting and thought about the thunderbird that is a central figure in many Native American beliefs. He contacted the nearby Hoh Reservation and spoke with an elder who confirmed.
It's funny because it's H-O-H is how it's spelled, but the AI keeps spelling it like this. And it's like the Hoh Reservation. I mean, come on. When the AI spells it like that, the Hoh Reservation, I'm loving it, and that's where I should go. I should go put me out to pasture on the Hoh Reservation.
The notion that this enormous raven could be considered a thunderbird. He asked, "Do you have any Native American blood in you?" "And I do, at least 1/8 from the Cherokee tribe," said Marshall. "Well, that is a good thing," he said. "It means you will have extreme luck." Marshall achieved his dream just a few months after his encounter with the Thunderbird, purchasing 60 acres of forested land along U.S. Route 1.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that when we get to the man-eating python segment of the show later on. If you're watching this in Cryptic Corner, you'll have to go back and watch it and go find the python episode. But, yeah, there are dwarf and giant specimens. We're actually here out in the Southwest. We're wrapping up our monsoon season, so we have little desert storms that roll through. Phoenix just got flooded. Vegas got hit last night. So all down here in the Southwest, we get hit with these little storms that just roll off the mountains every now and then.
101, about 1 mile east from where he encountered the giant raven. Aside from a tourist-heavy summer season, it's a quiet, natural area where he can live off the grid and enjoy the powerful glow of the late-night starscape. While Marshall only experienced this one sighting, others have seen the giant corvids, and on his very own property. The following summer, after moving in, Marshall and his daughter were sitting around the campfire one afternoon when she urged him to look up at the sky. Marshall didn't see anything, but his daughter told him she had spotted the biggest raven she had ever seen, and it had a red slash under its eye. "And I had never told her about my sighting," said Marshall. And there have been
the consistency of the red slash under the eye is pretty interesting. And doesn't go along with my thoughts on it, but let me check something here too. I'll let it play.
additional sightings as recently as May 2025. These encounters were reported to Marshall by Walt, also a pseudonym, a naturalist and caretaker of the property who Marshall happily inherited from the previous owner. Walt, who lives in a one-room cabin, periodically cooks pancakes and shares them with the birds that congregate outside. One day, he is just about to put out the pancakes and 2 monster birds show up, said Marshall. They appeared to be a nesting pair, a male, standing over 4 feet with wings that span 12 feet, when spread and when folded protruded well above the top of its body. It had 2 sets of cat-like whiskers or long feathers at the top base of its beak, with a red slash under each eye. The female was smaller, under 4 feet in height.
Why is the female smaller? Maybe you got them mixed up, because in birds usually the male is smaller. I'm gonna check, make sure. Which sex is smaller in corvids? Okay, I was wrong. That's okay, though. It's fun to learn new things. In most corvid species, including the common crow, male corvids are larger than females. This sexual dimorphism means the smaller sex is female, though this size difference can be slight, making it difficult to distinguish between male and females without DNA testing. So, yeah, I'm wrong about I'm wrong about many things before I finish my first cup of coffee in a day. So it's okay to be wrong and learn new things as long as you're willing to learn new things and readjust your position on stuff based on the new information. That's the important part of this. That's what I'm trying to teach people here. But yeah, I was wrong. Let's check on New World vultures though. New World vultures. In New World vultures, the smaller sex varies depending on species. While females are typically the larger sex in most birds of prey, New World vultures display a mix of sexual size dimorphism. So that was just in birds in general. The females tend to be more robust, I guess, because they have to be able to carry eggs and create eggs. Sometimes huge eggs, like when you look at like a kiwi, they create a monster egg. But even a corvid egg, still pretty large object to pass through your body or to pass out of your body. Cosmic Kyle's here. Hello, Kyle. All right.
And with a wingspan of around 10 feet. She was all black, no red slashes, but also displayed a couple sets of cat-like whiskers / long feathers at the top base of the beak. The corvid pair appeared twice in recent months, while the male hung cautiously back, watching.
The whiskers are interesting too and very distinct. I'm thinking about adding these to my fantasy races, like because I got my Bigfoot people, and now they can live alongside the Thundercrow people. Yeah, because they have a very distinct appearance. The giant corvids with red slashes under their eyes and cat-like whiskers. Love it.
The female partook in the breakfast treats. Now, I did ask if Walt would agree to be interviewed, could take photos or videos the next time the birds appear, or might agree to Marshall installing a trail cam. But Marshall explained that Walt eschews technology and is intensely private, so he would likely not agree to such evidence collection. However, Marshall did say he would utilize trail cams to look for the birds on other parts of his property. Marshall said that other locals have seen these birds and discussed them among themselves. Why come forward with these sightings now, if this bird is a new...
Like, the whisker part of this is really interesting to me. Because the types of birds that have whiskers or rictal bristles. Let me pull some info up on this. Okay, here. Got some science here for us. Sometimes I throw science at you. Surprise, science! I learned the other day, blah, 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 blah. Now, lots of birds have bristles around their jaw and face, such as this barbet, which is right here. These are called rictal bristles because they are located on the rictus, the gape of the mouth part. For many years, it was thought, and logically so, I think, that the bristles that surrounded the bird's beak served as an insect net or sweep to scoop up insects as the bird foraged through the air. It made some sense when I started graduate school, blah, blah, blah. Exactly how do these work? Talking about an experiment they did with it. I know y'all are sitting here watching me read. I'm trying to figure out, because I've always thought they were for insect eating, which would be interesting regarding this thundercrow, because how would it attain such a huge size as an insectivorous, as an aerial insectivorous feeder? Right? I mean,
species, it needs to be studied and protected, said Marshall. Just what are these giant ravens, sighted in Washington state and in variations throughout North America? Are these dark-feathered giants managing to stay mostly hidden in the continent's remote forests? And do these mysterious Thundercrows have a deeper, mystical connection to the ancient lore of North America's native inhabitants?
I like to think that they have supernatural powers. Sure, let's do that. Let's go with that. But there's a part 2 to this, so we're not done.
As a final note, I just want to say that I am truly honored when eyewitnesses reach out to me to share their Thunderbird accounts. It's not easy to trust a stranger with an anomalous, often private experience, let alone write about it for the world to see. I always try my best to convey their stories with accuracy and dignity. This is Kevin from American Strangeness. Have a great day.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, and rectal bristles are not to be confused with rectal bristles, by the way. If you have rectal bristles, that's for something completely different. But here's part 2. This was just from a month ago. Thundercrows over North America.
A compelling number of giant bird sightings across North America describe massive crows and ravens. I am excited to share research conducted by both myself and my friend and fellow Fordian, Hammerson Peters, regarding our mutual fascination with the long history of Thundercrows in the
Bro be loving on some Hammerson Peters.
U.S. and Canada.
Don't get me wrong, I like Hammerson Peters too. He brings me all the cool Canadian stuff. Yeah, we're filling out the our Canada map. If you look, I keep a world map of all the places that we go on the show and all the things that we look at. And if you look at my map, we spend a lot of time in the eastern half of the U.S., probably because where I'm from and where my culture comes from. But we're starting to fill out some Canadian stuff. Starting to fill out some Australian stuff, too. With good old Jamie from Tantanoola Toigas. Yeah, Jamie's helping us fill out. I need more Africa for sure, and definitely more Asia. This is the biggest landmass in the world, and there's tons of cryptids just in this little region right here that we could cover, and or cryptid sightings, and I just don't have them marked or haven't covered them yet. Europe does pretty good, especially the UK. Look, you can't even see the islands because I got so many places I covered there, but it's not really as bad as it looks. I mean, like, this is all just London, right? You'll see the same thing over here in the New York area. It's all this area right here, kind of the same deal. South America, I barely have anything either. Anyway. Oh, no, we're done with that one. We're done with the rectal bristles. Here we go. That's where we were.
Today on American Strangeness, Thundercrows over North America.
That's what I'm saying, Equus. A lot of, like, when I think of rectal bristles, I think of nightjars and flycatchers. Swifts have little bristles around their mouths. And I think of riding a bicycle with my mouth open through a swarm of mayflies. If I found Nessie, maybe I just wouldn't tell anybody because Nessie and me would go on secret adventures together and do all kinds of fun stuff. Yes, please send me cryptids that you want to see covered. Or they don't have to be cryptids. They can be ghosts. They can be aliens, UFO sightings, any kind of unnatural encounter or quarantine encounter. Send it to me. Even if it doesn't even have to be an encounter. if you know about some folklore or whatever, just send it to me so that I can help fill out my map of weird and wonderful sightings. I do gotta say, like with the Africa part. Let me go back real quick. Like with the Africa part, yeah, there's not a lot here, but like this one, covers like 6 or 7 different African cryptids that I've talked about, but they're all just known from this. Well, not necessarily from here specifically, but from this river basin, right? They're known from the Congo River basin and the dense jungles that surround it. So, I mean, I could do an individual heart for each one, but it'd be kind of redundant since I don't have locations, because most of these stories come from the age of like the Great White Hunter. And they were just like, oh, I was in the deep jungles of the Congo River Valley or whatever. And they might give like a north of the river, south of the river. But they don't give too many details about where they are. Just that they're in the dense jungle. So you have to kind of roll with that. But so there's more cryptids here than represented here than actually what I'm reporting or what I'm showing. It's deceptive. All right. Where was I? Here we go.
Not long ago, I reported on a spate of recent Thundercrow sightings around the Hoh rainforest on the Olympic Peninsula in western Washington state. To refresh your memory, witnesses described these birds as looking like enormous ravens that stand more than 4 feet tall and possess a 12-foot wingspan. They had distinctive red slashes under their eyes and whisker-like tufts of feathers behind their beaks. A witness I spoke with saw one of these birds from only 15 feet distant, perched on a tree stump before it soared powerfully away. The main witness, who was part Cherokee, conferred with an elder on the nearby Hoh reservation. This elder confirmed the notion that the enormous raven could be considered a thunderbird and signified good luck for a Native American. The avian cryptids known as thunderbirds are a variety of gigantic, unidentified birds.
And we have covered thunderbirds here before. We've covered, let me see. Not thunderbirds, Okay, so we have 2 video, just one. The Illinois thunderbird. And can I get a link? Yeah. All right. So again, it shows my bias because of where I grew up, but Illinois is also a place that's full of cryptid sightings, proportionally more than probably than is probably fair. There we go. There's dinosaurs in the middle of Africa that eats people. Mokili Mimbe. Well, there's a lot. There's in Africa. Mokili Mimbe, Kasai Rex. Hold on. But Mokili Mimbe is definitely the most famous of them. But yeah, there's Kasai Rex, Mokili Mimbe, Emila Nutuko, Nagamo Monin, Kongomoto. Well, Kongomoto's a pterosaur. We have Mabulu. It says it 3 times. Mabulu. And then there's the beast. Well, the Karoo's not really Congo, but yeah. So there's quite a few cryptid creatures that roam the Congo. Some of them do fly. Thunderbird Hoh Reservation. The Hoh Reservation. Yay. Thank you so much, Left-Handed Jedi. I'm going to be in the Hoh Reservation when I retire.
Collectively named after the elemental beings of Native American tradition. Through years of research, I have noticed that a subset of these giant birds resemble corvids, and I have named them thundercrows accordingly. Admit it, it's catchy.
I love it, dude. Yeah, I'm giving you credit for that too. American Strangeness. I might even go out here to the Cryptid Wiki and add it in there if it's not in there already. Is Thundercrow in there? Thundercrow. Nope, there's no Thundercrow article, so we're gonna go. Maybe we'll go out there and add that for you, babe. Mr. American Strangeness. What was his name? Kevin. Yeah, Kevin from American Strangeness. Yeah, we're gonna add
Thundercrows have a
Thundercrow.
surprisingly long history. Descriptions of the elemental and powerful thunderbird varies throughout the oral histories of indigenous tribes, most often manifesting as a giant eagle or an anthropomorphic man. However, Hammerson Peters uncovered several references to corvid-like thunderbirds in
Except the one in Alton, Illinois. That dude looks like a lion, kind of. It's like a mountain lion with, like with a human, like a, well, sort of a humanish face. Let me show you. Yeah, Piazza. Where are you? No, not copy image. Open image in a new tab, for Pete's sakes. Like a dude in a kayak being carried by a golden eagle on the screen, but I want to show you all. Jesus. No, zoom out. Christ almighty. Hold on. We're going to find a different one. That one's crazy big. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. That one's perfect. So, this is what thunderbirds looked like in most native, or not, shouldn't say most, in the folklore of the upper Midwest. Right? Antlers, tusks, beard, feathers, wings. So it's hexapodal because it's got 4 sets of legs. And I'm assuming this is supposed to be the tail wrapped around it, right? But this is native artwork from Alton, Illinois. Pretty wild looking. So thunderbirds aren't necessarily, like from mythology, aren't necessarily just giant birds or giant eagles. They're something. They're generally something a little bit different.
First Nations traditions. Per Peters, American politician and ethnographer Frank Bird Linderman, yes Bird, included an old Kootenai tale from the Columbia Mountains in his 1926 book, Kootenai Wise Stories. Linderman, who trapped north of Flathead Lake, Montana in the late 1800s, said the Kootenai described thunderbirds as massive crows which take on the appearance of dark clouds when they prepare to make lightning. In their 1909 article on the mythology of the Blackfoot Indians,
that is the Piazza bird, left-handed Jedi, absolutely. Piazza bird. All hail Bigfoot. Hey, if you have the ability, drop some Bigfoot tracks in the side chat. Let me see how many channel members are here live right now. Show me some love if you're a channel member. I want to see it.
American anthropologists Clark Whistler and D.C. Duval described the thunderbird as appearing in the form of a large, dark cloud. And in his 1994 book, The Amazing Death of Calfshirt and Other Blackfoot Stories, Canadian historian Hugh Dempsey wrote that the Blackfoot regarded the crow as a messenger of the thunder spirit. Anthropologist James Teat wrote in 1905 about the thunderbird tradition.
That's just a cool title. Messenger of the thunder, or messenger of the thunder gods, or what do you say? Should put on the closed caption here too. Let me go back and hear that title. Messenger of the thunder spirit, not thunder god.
Anthropologist James Teat wrote in 1905 about the Thunderbird
Oh, there's
traditions
my
of the
Bigfoot
Shuswap,
footprint.
a First Nations
Woo!
people from the interior of British Columbia. Teat stated, per Hammerson Peters,
Who's your buddy? Good to see you, babe. Love to know that you're here watching. Hell's Bells, brand new to the Hive. Love you, babe. Native Atheist, woo woo, and giving me that pride moth too. Love you, baby. Love ya.
The conception of the thunder is the same as among the Thompson Indians. The Thunderbird is large and black, and
I recognized that voice. That's Hammerson Peters right there.
covered with down or short downy feathers. Some part of its body, according to many, its head, is bright red.
cryptozoologist and biologist Dr. Carl Schuker clued
Carl Schuker. Carl Schuker's my boy. Me and Carl Schuker DM on Twitter. But he won't come on the show. He wouldn't come on the show when Dawn was on, I should say. Dawn's pretty rough on Dawn is pretty rough on cryptozoologist, though. He is. I love Dawn. Don Prothero, who wrote some books on cryptozoology too. But let's see what Carl Schuker has to say about it.
into a 2012 report on the Crypto Dominion website about a mystery species it called the British Columbian giant raven. Though qualifying the story as a piece of local folklore, Crypto Dominion stated that massive ravens, larger than golden eagles, inhabit a valley that is rich in timber and nestled within the interior of British Columbia. Bush mechanics there claim to have encountered these birds and describe them as dangerous, very opportunistic, and unhesitant to tear apart a campsite. They are nearly flightless, stated the report, and have much red in their tail plumage. Crypto Dominion suggested that the British Columbian giant raven is a specialized species which developed in the isolation of their home valley. Note that...
Did they say they were flightless? Yeah, it does say they were flightless. Okay, let me knocking my makeup over. I left all my makeup out all over my desk, by the way. It's fun.
Are nearly flightless, stated the report, and have much red in their tail plumage. Crypto Dominion suggested that the British Columbian giant raven is a specialized species which developed in the isolation of their home valley. Note that in the Hoh rainforest sightings, the male ravens were reported to have red plumage, albeit around their eyes. Also, those birds were quite capable of flight, but the similarities still raise an eyebrow. The Shuswap description of the Thunderbird is also notably similar to the 21st century British Columbia accounts of giant ravens.
So some of them are flightless, I guess. Maybe the ones that were flightless were a subspecies of the flighted ones, and maybe they're extinct now. Could you imagine finding a giant giant raven skull? That'd be so cool.
Possibly reflecting a surviving native tradition in the same region. Does the Pacific Northwest hide a species of giant raven, possibly the elemental thunderbird known to the Shuswap? Teat also collected a thunderbird tradition from the Thompson Indians of British Columbia and Washington that is eerily congruent as pertains to markings, if not in size. As read by Hammerson Peters,
The thunder is said to be a bird a little larger than a grouse, and of somewhat similar shape. Some describe the color of its plumage as wholly red, while others say that it resembles a female blue grouse, but has large red bars above its eyes, or has a red head, or some red in its plumage.
there have been numerous sightings throughout North America of birds.
That doesn't sound like it's describing the same bird at all. I said it was blue and red. I mean, given jays are corvids, right? Like blue jays are corvids. So most corvids are goth, but blue jays decided to go more punk rock with the blue hair, which is cool. It's cool. You all rock your assholes. All corvids are pretty much assholes, though. They're just really smart and don't take human shit, but, you know. But this sounds like it's describing a different bird. Slightly larger than a grouse is not a large, I mean, it is a large bird, a larger bird, but it's not like significantly large. It'd be about the size of a chicken, right? Flightless birds are often found riding bicycles, says Spooky Bed here. Only in the UK, though. They don't allow flightless birds to ride bicycles or even be in the bicycle lanes at all here in the US.
Described as resembling large crows or ravens, or that might fit the profile of a thundercrow. Let's review some of these cases. Gerald Musinski, who chronicled the thunderbird phenomenon in north-central Pennsylvania's Black Forest, wrote that regional lore claims
And that was one of our very first episodes. I think it's unlisted because that was before my transition. But I might re-release it. It gives me a little bit of dysphoria, but let me see. Let me see how bad it is. Oh man, that's old-timey Cryptic Corner intro. All right, so this is from this is Unexplained Mysteries site. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sharing that one. I think it's unlisted now too. It's set to private. I may re-release it with some edits. I don't know, but it was episode 1, literally episode here. It's not gonna hurt to show you guys this much. Literally Beast of Pennsylvania, episode 1, which is about the big black birds in the Pennsylvania Black Forest. But this is super old. When did this air? Does it even give a date? I don't know. Anyway. So we did cover that. I may have to re-release that with some edits. Actually, you know what I might do? I might do a re-release of that with this and like cut them together as one segment with this, with the edits when I do this episode, when I edit this episode. I might. We'll see.
Twain, while writing on a rock in present-day Ravensburg State Park, and Edgar Allan Poe, while visiting the Po Valley, possibly named for his ancestors, sighted immense blackbirds in Pennsylvania. Frank Graves, the cryptid hunter, told Hammerson Peters that he reviewed the infamous Thunderbird photo that cryptozoology forefather.
And maybe I should just redo an episode about the Pennsylvania Thunderbird. I don't know. We have stellar jays here. They're blue and with black mohawks. Yeah, those are cool. Surely there's been more data found by now.
Ivan T. Sanderson once had in his files during the mid-1960s. He described the dead bird pictured hanging on the side of the barn as a big black bird like a raven, with a wingspan between 20 and 30 feet. Several men from the Old West posed before it. "I think thunderbirds are ravens. They're just giant ravens," Graves said. The cryptid hunter might have been onto something. Cryptozoologists Dale Drinan and Sam McConnich, a member of Drinan's Frontiers of Zoology group, swapped stories of similar thunderbirds they saw over Ohio in the 1970s.
And this does remind me a lot of the Thunderbird stuff in Illinois. And that we actually talked about the Mark Twain thing when we talked about the Illinois Thunderbirds, because Mark Twain's from the Midwest.
During his childhood, McConnich spotted a large blackbird flying low over the Ottawa River near Toledo, and it was something like a crow the size of an eagle. It was all dark and had a fully feathered head, with a wingspan of about 10 feet across. Drinan, on his lunch break while working as a counselor in downtown Toledo, saw a giant bird that looked as big as an airplane flying approximately 500 feet above the downtown buildings. Drinan estimated that the bird possessed a 16 to 24-foot wingspan. The bird was all...
Wow. And that would be like the largest living bird alive. But people are terrible at estimating the size of the things from a distance. Humans are just not good at it at all.
black and glided effortlessly across the Maumee River directly into the path of a thunderstorm, a choice that puzzled Drinnen. The lightning could be seen in the distance, and the bird seemed somehow drawn to it, said Drinnen, who referred to these creatures as West Coast or Raven thunderbirds.
I too go towards the storm sometimes. Lightning is a draw.
Early afternoon during the summer of 1997, a group of friends camping in the forests of Mount Haram in New York spotted a large bird perched at the tip of a tall tree not far from the road. The bird didn't linger, but a witness estimated its wingspan was between 10 and 16 feet. The witness stated that they were
And that would also be the largest bird alive today.
very familiar with the turkey vultures of the area, and this was not one of them. The witness said that the feathers were a uniform black throughout and looked more like a giant crow than a bald eagle, although the silhouette of the head was more along the lines of an eagle, I suppose. In July 2010, a witness in Texas saw a black bird that
it had a head of an eagle, not the head of a corvid.
Looked like a giant crow fly over their swimming pool. The pool was 27 feet wide, and the witness estimated that the bird's wingspan cast a 35-foot shadow. The bird shot up in...
That does not mean that the bird was 35 foot, though. A bird that's like 14 inches can cast a big old shadow over your pool, depending on the distance up.
the air and flapped its wings several times and headed southeast. Shane Regehr, a resident of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, was riding his ATV off-road in the mountains near his home by the Seven Tubs Recreation Area on a sunny summer day in 2016. About an hour into...
Where was the location? Seven Tubs?
Was riding his ATV off-road in the mountains near his home.
Looks like we're getting Pennsylvania recovered here anyway, so... win-win.
By the Seven Tubs Recreation Area on a sunny summer day in 2016. About an hour into his journey, Regehr was traversing a wide dirt path that had once been used as a railroad track in coal mining. As he came around a bend, Regehr saw an enormous bird drinking from a puddle on the path. Startled, the bird lifted into the air, struggling to take off. Regehr hammered on the throttle to keep up, the bird being no more than 50 feet in front of him and 4 feet off the ground.
And I believe this may be the story that I covered in the Beast of Pennsylvania video.
It was so black that the sun brought out a bluish-purple tinting on the wings, much like the iridescent plumage of crows and ravens.
Okay.
Regehr was unable to get a good view of the head. The bird had a 10 to 12-foot wingspan and a thick body. This wasn't a turkey vulture or eagle. It was something Regehr felt did not belong, and most importantly, did not want to be seen. The bird glided down
Did it have burning eyes, though?
the mountain path and then off into the forest like a plane. The sighting lasted less than 30 seconds and still haunts Regehr to this day. At dusk, around 4 p.m. on January 16, 2018, Tabitha Bauer was driving through the Mendenhall Valley of Juneau, Alaska, when she saw a...
Now we're on the opposite side of the country, opposite sides of the continent in Alaska.
Huge jet black bird flying toward her.
And all these places are going to get added to the map, right? We'll add them to the map. All the Pennsylvania and Washington State and Alaska locations.
It was level with the treetops over a shopping district on Mendenhall Loop Road. She described it as the size of a small airplane, its wingspan at least 20 feet, nearly the width of the road. Bowers said the massive bird was not a raven or an eagle, but much larger. It had black feathers, short tail feathers, and a body that was 6 to 8 feet long, but she couldn't discern the beak. The bird appeared to be following
Maybe it was a winged humanoid.
the roadway over the town, then flapped its wings and flew a bit higher at a fast
I prefer to not be seen most of the time, too. I decide when I want to be seen, and that's when I'm all preened and pretty. You wouldn't want to see me when I'm not. Y'all ever seen, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? There's a character on there named Frank Reynolds. That's what I look like when I'm not dolled up, so, yeah.
cliff about 50 feet above her car. She last saw it heading toward a glacier. It was the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was very concerning, said Bauer. Fortean researcher, podcast host, and Mothman authority Ashley Hilt shared her own sighting of an enormous...
Mothman Authority, I'll have you know that I am the Mothman Authority, right? I am the world's leading cryptozoologist, and I think Ashley Hilt can kiss my ring. I'm just saying I don't really know much about Ashley Hilt. Like, it looks like maybe I need to look into her. But yeah, as far as the authority on Mothman, you're looking at her, babe. You're looking at her, so...
enormous blackbird in Ohio. At about 2 p.m. on April 5th, 2021, she was driving down Marshall Road in Kettering, Ohio, on the Kettering-Centerville line, when she saw a large crow land on a utility pole. That's when she realized the bird had a wingspan that was twice the size of the horizontal part of the utility pole. Hill estimated the wingspan at being at least 12 feet. Before it had tried to land on the pole, I would have just been happy assuming it was a regular crow, she said. And that just goes to show how simple it would be for something like that to fly under the radar, because...
And those, how big are those crossbars on electric pylon? What do you call it? Dimensions. All right. Let's see here. See here. There's something with a scale, though. Because I'm sure they're standardized, you know? What are they called? All the charts on scales and sizes for them I'm seeing are given dimensions for the big ones. If it was one of those big ones, that'd be crazy. No dimensions. I'm sure it's standardized, but... Oh. I don't know. Maybe that's something I'll have to come back to later. Finding the scale on those. If I do, I'll like pop it up on the screen here. No sense in keeping you all staring at this car, which has nothing to do with Thunderbirds.
Our eyes play tricks on us while our brains try to reason away what we are seeing. Outside of Thunderbird beliefs, crows and ravens are important animals in Native American stories. Contrary to some cultural depictions of corvids as bad omens, in Native American cultures they were...
I could run start a journal. Get your work peer reviewed in the Journal of Cryptozoology.
Often helpful, intelligent, and cherished creatures. Khitan, creator deity of the Wampanoag of New England, sent a crow with the first seeds of corn and beans to ensure their survival. This has been described as a giant crow in one modern account, based on the concept that mythic animals in Native American stories were often the boss spirits of their species, and larger in size. The raven is both a hero and trickster for the tribes of the Pacific Northwest. The
That's mostly how I hear about crows and ravens and depicted in North America. That's like the standard. Like, I know each group of people groups can have their own lore and folklore about it, but like as a white person exposed, to cultural depictions of Native American folklore, it's the ravens and crows are always depicted as a trickster.
Viewed the raven as a shapeshifter whose mischievousness benefited mankind by providing the sun, moon, stars, fire, and salmon. While the story might originate with the Cherokee, the Lenape who once inhabited Luzerne County in Pennsylvania, where Shane Regehr saw his giant bird, have a tale about the Monocahas, the rainbow crow. Monocahas valiantly delivered the first gift of fire bestowed by the Creator to his fellow animals and saved them from a cold winter, but his vibrant feathers were scorched black by...
If Mothman is searching for the moth wife, I'm right here. Am I not fluttery enough? Do I need bigger wings to attract the Mothman? My hair's platinum blonde. It's basically a lamp.
the flames, and his beautiful voice was turned coarse by the smoke. When one looked closely, however, the crow's black feathers still shone and reflected all the colors. The Thunderbird is many things. First and foremost,
The Thunderbird of many colors.
it is an elemental force central to the spiritual world of Native American peoples. In more recent decades, the term has come to represent a menagerie of large, unknown avian creatures reported by witnesses throughout the North American continent. And creatures resembling the dark-feathered members of the Corvidae family, Thundercrows, if you will, are among a small but extremely compelling number of Thunderbird reports. Just what...
How am they compelling, though? Isn't Coyote also a shapeshifter and trickster? Yes. Well, at least in like Navajo and I believe in Apache lore it is. Coyote is. But they were talking more about Pacific Northwest for the crow, or for the raven and the crow to be a trickster.
Are these giant ravens sighted in Washington state and in variations throughout North America? Are these dark-feathered giants managing to stay mostly hidden in the continent's remote forests? And do these mysterious thundercrows have a deeper, mystical connection to the ancient lore of North America's native inhabitants?
Was that just the same thing I read last time? Anyway, that's American Strangeness. I think I'm subscribed. Yeah, I'm subscribed. Talking about the Thunder Crow, which has been a lot of their more recent stuff, like right here and here. But, I mean, they cover a lot of stuff. The Flaming Skull from space. Is there a monster in one of America's longest rivers? The Susquehanna Seal. What? El Paso, that's where I am. El Paso's buried city and the king of... What? Oh my gosh. That's going on the polls. Holy shit, I didn't know about that. I could go to the I could go on location here. I might watch that after I'm finished with the show. The case of the exploding pig. The gown man and the woman in black. Australia's man-eating tree. I know we've covered that. Teddy the golf cat. There's more Thunderbird stuff that we didn't get to. This channel hasn't been going that long, though. But they're doing better than me on subscribers. Check that out. Got 4K subscribers already. They got a website. Let's go see what that's all about. American Strangeness. Whatever. I'm going to continue. Let's go. Oh, there's a contact me link. Okay, so this has been going on a little bit longer than just the... Well, maybe it has. Maybe they put this website up just now. Now it looks like 2021. And now we know who Kevin is. Kevin Gould. Kevin J. Gould. Now I'm going to be nosy. He's on Instagram. Maybe I shouldn't show you my Instagram, though. It can be kind of naughty. It's got a cute kitty. Yeah, my pictures are all fully animal pictures and stuff too. And a poopers. So that's his Instagram. He's an author too. What we got here? No. Didn't want to go there. I want to go just here. The Anthology of Strangeness, Volume 1, Thunderbirds, Lost Temples, and Skeleton Ghosts, paperback, October 9th, 2024. Okay. So he's an author. All right. All right. Well. Okay. So that's who we're dealing with. All right. But now you're dealing with me. Now you're dealing with Hive Psi. All right. So that was Cryptic Corner, Thundercrows, a term coined by Kevin J. Gould, presumably in 2024. Of American strangeness. So there's no cryptid wiki article for it or anything like that. We'll have to fix that. But absolutely intriguing subject matter. I shouldn't just close out without giving my theory, I guess. So this was my theory for the Beast of Pennsylvania too. Just to give it some perspective. So what we're looking at and what people are dealing with is the result of climate change, right? So meet the black vulture. Now the black vulture has not got a 12-foot wingspan. It does not 6 foot long. But it also did not until recently travel that far north, right? And now they are due to climate change, they're making their way up the west coast, making their way up the east coast, even into Canada, and people are seeing them. And since we're used to turkey vultures, which have the red head, this guy with his black head looks very strange and alien. Some people see that, and you can see how someone might say that's corvid-like in appearance, right? Like, unless you get really close and see that there's just black skin on the head. Oh, anyway. So black vultures are my personal theory on what people are citing. And particularly black vultures with their feathers up on their head like that. Like, that's very corvid-like, right? And people in the Pacific Northwest wouldn't be used to seeing something like that. And they do this behavior, a lot of vulture species do, where they sit up in the sit up high and just spread their wings out, and it's a way to thermoregulate. Let me see if they have a picture of them doing it though. Oh, hold on. Yeah, this was something I looked up too. It's uncommon in Washington State. They're not native, so seeing them becomes like super bizarre. Let's see. Black vulture. They sit like this all the time. Just yo. like they're trying to start shit. Turkey vultures do it too. But yeah, I mean, you can see a turkey vulture doing it there. But black vultures always look like they're trying to start a fight with somebody, saying, "Come at me, bro." That's the "come at me, bro" stance. And when they sit like that, they also are making themselves look a lot bigger than they are, which can be intimidating. But if you look at the wing proportions of a black vulture, they're not quite as long and narrow as a turkey vulture, which is why I think that maybe that's where they're getting this. Oh, it had more like crow wings than vulture wings, but I don't know, you see that dip in right there where on the turkey vulture, and you look at the black vulture and it kind of fans out. Just wanted to point that out. Anyway, this episode's gone on a little bit long, but that's okay. Yeah, that's Cryptic Corner for us. Do you think that this is a new species, a misidentification of an existing species like a California condor or a black vulture? Do you think that it's just people not used to seeing how big ravens really are and seeing a raven land and being like, oh my gosh, that's the biggest bird I've ever seen? Which, when the first time I saw a raven in real life, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, because they're almost eagle sized. They're as big as an owl, right? They're huge. Ravens are huge. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below what you think about Thundercrows and all that jazz. Did I do it justice covering it? Do you disagree with me about my assessment of what the sightings were? I want conflict in my comments. Come at me. I'm gonna stand in full Thundercrow, come at me, bro pose. So, come and get some. All right. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time.